I was in the mood for something a little bit less serious today, and I thought to myself initially, I think I'm going to put together one of those little lists of, 5 things I love about mini painting. But then after a bit of pondering on that, I decided to spoil that good humour by also adding in 5 things I dislike. But it is for good reason, and that is because at the end of this video, I want to give a little insight into how I prevent burnout from happening, and so you should probably stick around until the end to check that out. So in an effort to now come off as a giant whinge bag on YouTube, let's start with a dislike. So this is actually a really weird, individual, very subjective and slightly odd dislike, because I'm actually not bad at freehand. I'm okay at it, but on the more involved freehand pieces, I tend to try to figure out how to lay them flat to the desk, because I find that this is the easiest way to get good, accurate rendering. The problem with doing this is that it really, really hurts my hands after a few hours of painting. I get terrible, terrible cramps and numbness in my fingertips, and so whilst I'm okay at freehand and I don't dislike it, I really don't enjoy it. As bonkers as it may sound, the often maligned yellow is actually one of my favourite colours to paint. I mean, let's just take a quick look through my collection. I've only painted 4 of my Stargrave crew so far, and 3 of those already have yellow on them. I'm halfway through a yellow Imperial Guard army. The top post-it on my pad is yellow. My favourite brand of industrial lubricant is yellow. This bag of sweets that a customer bought me as a present is mostly yellow. I just really like yellow. It's a colour that's often reviled for being hard to paint, but with a little love, care, and Avalon sunset, I found a plethora of workups that just get the job done and don't cause me any stress. Right, before you start throwing rotten tomatoes at your screen and getting really upset with me, I want to be very clear here. I love orcs. I have the start of an orc army myself. They're probably, to be honest, my joint favourite Warhammer 40k faction alongside Imperial Guard. But I have never, in 30 years of painting miniatures, managed to find a workup for orc skin that both ticks the boxes in terms of what I like and doesn't take forever to paint, which for an army that always has a lot of bodies on the ground is really frustrating. So I'll be honest, this is one that I really want to turn around. It's been a quest of mine for a very long time to find an orc skin workup that I like, but doesn't take me forever to paint. How, you cry? Can anyone enjoy painting the most ubiquitous, overhyped, force-fed subfaction in all of wargaming history? Well, it's kinda simple actually. After years and years of struggling to get blues how I wanted them to look, or finding that any blue workups I did like took me too long to paint, you're noticing this is a common theme with me, I did what any straight-thinking, clear-minded Commoner Garden masochist would do, and started an Ultramarines army. But the learning journey of starting to figure out getting these guys painted and actually bringing them somewhere towards completion ended up leaving me with a really lasting love of the boys in blue, and I really got over those fears and difficulties and complications, because overcoming adversity is cool, y'all. Now, I don't just mean a lot of detail when I'm griping about this, although that will come up later, so stay tuned. I'm talking more about sculpts that are just plain bad design. Lady Alinda from Age of Sigmar is probably the poster child for this problem. I mean, just to get this clip to show you how wobbly she is, I had to message a friend of mine who I'd just given my Lady Alinda to. And why did I give my Lady Alinda away in the first place? Well, because if I hadn't have given it away, the experience was probably going to go something like this. Wobbly minis, or minis with joins in the middle of parts, or minis that you need in sub-assembly so that you can reach the parts underneath, minis with ridiculously tiny details even. Get them all in the bin. If you look at most of my mini painting, you'll notice that a really common thread amongst it is texture. And it can be something that's a little abstract for wargamers to understand if their only lens through which they view painting is miniature painting for miniature wargames, and even within that, more specifically, Warhammer style miniature painting, because texture's kind of considered in the broader world of art, in, canvas art, traditional art, to be kind of an essential ingredient of bringing a lot of styles to life. It's kind of necessary to a lot of styles. And so I think perhaps it's because I have a background in traditional painting that to my eye, texture is a lot more interesting, a lot more intriguing, and a lot more visually striking than that sort of pursuit of perfect smoothness that a lot of miniature painting really seems to encourage. But regardless of how you feel about it, I encourage everyone to just give texture a try, because it's a lot of fun to paint that way, and you can kind of produce some pretty interesting and different looking miniatures that will really stand out from the crowd. Alright, this isn't exactly mini painting, I know, but it's a thing I have to do before I can paint my minis, therefore it's an obstacle that's in my way, and therefore it makes me grumpy. Be it mould lines, contact points, gap filling, any of it really. I find no zen in it at all. And this probably goes a long way to explain why I like 3D printed minis so much, and why I've really gone whole hog on those lately, because there's just so much less cleanup. I mean, this guy that I'm showing you now in the pics that I'm overlaying onto this video is maybe 5 minutes of cleanup, not even that. Like, I've touched on this a few times in recent videos, but I'm not sure how well I've actually gone into it or explored it. It's no secret that Games Workshop absolutely makes the most finely detailed plastic miniatures on the market. Undisputable. But for me, a simpler, less detailed sculpt, it just gives the painter so much more room to make decisions, to add freehand, to add texture, to take their own stylistic approach. Part of the joy of painting for me is the amount of agency I get to decide the outcome. So if I want to paint purely for pleasure, for leisure, for enjoyment and relaxation, you'd probably find me reaching for a simpler sculpt. The devil is not always in the details, my friends. No, before you even think about it. This is not going to be a rant about how true metallics are inferior to non-metallics or vice versa. We're not doing that on this channel, because I actually really like both, and I think both are valid stylistic choices for doing different things and achieving different looks and feels and whatever. They're both cool. But do you ever find that metallic paints just feel different to work with? They don't take thinning as well, they dry quicker, they go gummy as they're drying, they aren't as easy to handle, they're just really stressful. Hang on a minute. Didn't you just say you didn't like metallics? Well, I did. There's always an exception that proves the rule, isn't there? And the exception in this case is Vallejo Metal Colour Airbrush Dark Aluminium. I think that's the full name. It's got a really long full name. Vallejo Acrylic Metal Colour Airbrush Colours Dark Aluminium. But besides having a name so lengthy it wouldn't appear out of place on the back cover of a Panic at the Disco album, it's a really good paint, and I love everything about it, and actually a few others in this line as well. It's just a joy. It's deliciously thin, it covers well, it's bright, it's reflective, it airbrushes well, it does everything that other metallics don't. So it deserves a special mention because it makes me very happy, and this video is extremely selfish. So that's 5 things that I like and 5 things that I don't, and if you've got this far through them, I did give a bit of foreshadowing at the start, but you might be wondering what was the point in this little exercise. Well, I did say that there was a lesson here, and that lesson comes in the form of self-evaluation, a really, really important skill for us as miniature painters. We tend to look at self-evaluation as weighing up our strengths and our shortcomings as painters, and that's valid, but one of our main shortcomings is usually, for most painters, motivation. I bet if you did a list of your strengths and shortcomings, motivation is quite likely to be on that negatives list. And that's the thing, the biggest contributor to motivation, or a lack thereof, is preference. If we enjoy something, we want to do more of it. So I encourage you, work out your 5 things that you love about mini painting and your 5 things that you dislike about mini painting. And next time you're starting to feel burnt out, have a go at painting something that really just plays into your likes and doesn't force you to deal with any of your dislikes. It really makes such a huge difference for turning that corner on getting out of a burnout hole. But what's more, why not post yours below? It's only 10 things. Give me a little comment with your 5 favourite things in mini painting and your 5 least favourite things in mini painting. I would love to know if any of the things that I've listed are shared commonly amongst other painters, or if you've got unique ones that are very specific to you. And so that's going to be all from me for this week, folks. But as usual, I would like to invite you to like, share, subscribe, and all that other YouTubey stuff. And please do take a look down at the links in the description to the video if you wish to support the videos more, because there's a bunch of ways to do it down in those links. So until next time, folks, I'd like to wish you happy hobbying, and bye-bye for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.